Good morning, everybody. So here we have a quick overview of what you've covered so far in the carbon cycle. Up here on land, we've got our terrestrial ecosystems consisting of autotrophs, heterotrophs, and the decomposers of those autotrophs and heterotrophs. Here in the water, we've got aquatic ecosystems. Aquatic ecosystems also have autotrophs, heterotrophs, and their own decomposers. Additionally, we have atmospheric. Now, I'm not talking about any animals or plants up there. I'm just talking about that as a place where carbon can be found. Within, I'm going to use the color orange here to show the flow of carbon. Our autotrophs are made of carbon. Tons and tons of carbon within our autotrophs. They get that carbon via the process of photosynthesis, getting it from the atmosphere. They give off plenty of that carbon back to the atmosphere via their own cellular respiration processes. But they have a net gain of carbon dioxide. Therefore, heterotrophs can consume those autotrophs to get their own carbon dioxide or their own carbon compounds for their body, and many of which will be broken down via cellular respiration to release carbon dioxide back to the atmosphere. So we have this nice little cycle between atmospheric reservoirs of carbon dioxide and terrestrial reservoirs of carbon dioxide. If we link in the fact that autotrophs don't all get consumed, plenty of them die and are used by decomposers for energy. Plenty of heterotrophs die and are used by decomposers for energy. And those decomposers release much of that carbon back to the atmosphere as carbon dioxide via cellular respiration. The same process is happening out in the aquatic ecosystems. Autotrophs photosynthesize some of that carbon dioxide, and cellular respirate some of that carbon back out as carbon dioxide. Autotrophs get eaten, consumed by heterotrophs, and heterotrophs break some of that carbon back down to carbon dioxide. The additional complication you had to pick up yesterday in your notes was that much of the carbon dioxide in the water is converted to bicarbonate ion, HCO3-. Much of that can then ionically bond with calcium in the water to become calcium carbonate. That calcium carbonate can then become part of mollusk shells like clams, snails, squid even have a small little endoskeleton. It can also be used by coral, which we're going to come back to in 4.4, to create their hard calcium carbonate skeletons. Under the right acidic conditions, this can be converted back this way towards carbon dioxide. And just like terrestrial ecosystems, not all autotrophs are consumed. Many of them are decomposed. Not all heterotrophs are consumed. Many of them are decomposed. It's pretty much where we left off. Hoping you're following mostly with that, with the exception that maybe this CO2 in the water, bicarbonate ion, calcium carbonate thing is a little confusing. It's one of those things, study a little bit more, memorize this pathway, and realize, and I will come back to it, that the production of bicarbonate ion does release hydrogen, and hydrogen is acid, right? The more H ion you have, the more acidic something is. Keep that in the back of your mind for when we come back to global climate change and the effect on oceans and coral. What I want to do from here is look at some of the decomposition processes that occur. Many decomposers have plenty of access to oxygen. They can use full aerobic cellular respiration and time to break down the vast majority of the autotrophs or heterotrophs that died. However, there are some conditions where these decomposers are they have limited access to oxygen. They may be in a bit of an acidic environment. Some of these decomposers are called methogens. These methogens will release some of the carbon, instead of carbon dioxide, as methane, CH4. That methane can accumulate in the atmosphere as well. We will come back to methane when we study global climate change. For now, I just want to show that some of that carbon, or that methane, can be converted to carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Now, that was incomplete decomposition. I want to follow the pathway. Yes, some incomplete decomposition leads to the production of methane. The rest of the incomplete decomposition leads to the production of fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are sorry about that. This takes millions of years. Millions of years. All right. It requires time and pressure and the right starting ingredients in order to get to take that incomplete decomposition and turn it into fossil fuels. Now we, humans, take those fossil fuels and we extract them from the ground, and then we combust them. Combustion. We burn them. That combustion releases that carbon dioxide from the fossil fuel storage into the atmosphere. Now, hopefully you already watched that video on the different fossil fuels. We have natural gas, oil, and coal. Depending on the process, that's how we get them. The IB wants us to know that in peat bogs, where you have all these swampy atmospheres, when those swampy, mostly plants, get partially decomposed with the right time and pressure, we get coal. When other organisms, especially in aquatic ecosystems, are partially decomposed and then buried over time, we get our oils and natural gases. Last note I'll have on this is this time piece. Again, we'll rewind to this when we look at flux tomorrow a little bit, and when we look at global climate change. It takes millions of years to make fossil fuels. We are combusting them at a rate that far exceeds the replenishment of our fossil fuels. We make new fossil fuels every day. It's just we combust them at a greater rate than nature can remake them. This fossil fuel reservoir of carbon has been something that has kept our atmospheric carbon dioxide levels in check for the billions of years of our planet. Not all of them, but many of them. We are just drastically reintroducing that carbon that was once stored underground as fossil fuels back to the atmosphere via combustion. I think that's all I want to do for this. Good luck with any of the classwork options you choose, and homework on Bio Ninja. Adios, everybody.